Hello, it's an honor and a privilege for me to be here today to talk about the topic of sustainability from a business perspective. I want to give you a little introduction as to why I'm talking about sustainability and why my company Primarium has a focus on sustainability consulting. Many years ago, in the sustainability class that I teach as an adjunct professor, I had my students pick a volunteer company or organization that would act like a client, or actually they were a client, and they would get free sustainability consulting from my class. And we found over time that by helping these companies look at their performance in relation to their peer companies, that we were able to help them improve their sustainability and save a lot of money, oftentimes, by eliminating or reducing waste streams, and also improve their green image, which, depending on what they do, might mean a better image to their customers, the people that wish to purchase their services or products. So the thought was, wow, if we can do that and make a difference as a class with a client for free, then why not try that in business? So that's where I am today. I want to give you a little bit of a introduction into where I intend to go with this presentation and what the purpose is. You know, many companies look at sustainability as just a way to improve their image. But really what I want to demonstrate through this presentation is that sustainability performance provides far more strategic value to a company than just an improved image. So, what is sustainability? How do you define sustainability? That definition can really be complicated. The most commonly used and broadest definitions comes from the 1987 Brundtland Commission, and that is meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. You've probably all heard that definition before, and it's very broad and widely used. Another way of defining sustainability, particularly sustainability performance, is to look at a triple bottom line. And the triple bottom line, as you may know, looks at an organization's not only their economic performance, which is what we always or typically look at a company to determine whether they're successful. Can they make a profit? That is the economic bottom line that we're all familiar with, but the triple bottom line adds two other bottom lines: environmental performance and social performance. And the next thing we need to at least touch on a little bit is that all of us have personal, individual worldviews. Maybe your particular religious belief about God, man, and the world, and whether we like to talk about that elephant in the room or not, our own particular views play a big role in how we view sustainability and why we're here on this earth. And you might even add that as a fourth bottom line to this triple bottom line concept. Now, one thing about the triple bottom line is that while we have universal standards in place for measuring and comparing the economic performance of multiple organizations, there are no universally accepted accounting standards for environmental performance and social performance of a company. However, an organization called the Global Reporting Initiative, GRI, has published the de facto standards that are used by companies that do report their performance in all of those areas. And another factor to think about is companies that do report their environmental and social performance often do that as a separate report from their annual report, which is normally just their economic performance. Very few companies do integrated reporting where all of those bottom lines would be looked at together in one report. Now, why is sustainability important to business? First, there is a growing socially responsible investor market. Investors are starting to demand that the companies they invest in have sustainable performance records, that they're able to demonstrate that they're a sustainable company. Customers are starting to demand greener or more sustainable products and services in the marketplace. Your employees, especially millennials, want to work for a progressive employer. They want to work somewhere where there is a greater purpose. Another area would be public stakeholders who are demanding a greater level of transparency from companies. And then next would be from a risk management perspective. When a company is more sustainable, it deals with risks such as environmental non-compliances. It's better prepared to prevent environmental crises. Sustainability mitigates or minimizes potential adverse public attention. So really, sustainability performance addresses potential liabilities and is a risk management strategy. Another reason why sustainability can be important to business is stock performance. Now you can see on the market green mutual funds. We have stock market indices that track the sustainability performance of companies. And very often you're seeing that those companies that are more sustainable perform better on the stock market. And then lastly, certainly not least, is profitability. By being more sustainable, namely performing better in the environmental and social bottom lines, a company can be far more profitable. So profitability can actually be a driver for being more sustainable. Now let's talk about green imaging. Now first of all, I want to challenge you in the area of green imaging to walk through a grocery store, a hardware store maybe, look on the internet. Almost anywhere you look in the market today, you will see green imaging. And sustainability branding by being green is very important in today's market. It's often a very important factor in purchasing decisions. You may think back several years ago when the United States Environmental Protection Agency, pursuant to a presidential executive order, had environmentally preferred purchasing criteria for federal agencies to purchase goods and services that were deemed to be more sustainable or more green according to certain factors. Well, as you may know, the federal government has a tremendous purchasing power, and that made significant changes to the market as far as the sustainability of goods and services that were being offered. Now, greenwashing can go bad. Green imaging can go bad when it's deemed to be greenwashing. That would be, for example, if this green image that your company wishes to portray is really a facade or disingenuous. And there are plenty of watchdog groups that will identify instances of greenwashing and attack those in social media. And that can be very, very bad attention for a company that's viewed to be disingenuous. It can backfire on you. The Federal Trade Commission actually has the authority to take enforcement actions in response to illegal green marketing claims. And those would be claims that, for example, with logos, certifications that you may claim to have, sustainability claims that you may make that are unsubstantiated. And maybe there's no independent third-party certification of whatever certification that you're claiming in the area of recyclability in your environmental performance. So green imaging is an area that's important, but it warrants careful attention. Now let's talk now about an approach to business sustainability. In the graduate courses that I teach, we often look at companies and benchmark these volunteer clients, benchmark their sustainability performance against their peers to identify best practices with respect to their strategic planning, their sustainability information management systems, and their environmental footprints, their supply chains, their social sustainability, their sustainability performance metrics, and their sustainability performance reporting. We would look at all of these factors to identify the best practices, show them what they were doing good and what they could do better by looking at their peers. And oftentimes that can be a very successful process for a company. With respect to strategic planning and how that relates to sustainability performance, I would say that sustainability performance begins with strategic planning. The first aspect of your strategic planning is your mission statement. The mission, I believe, of any organization ought to be concise. It should be simple. It simply tells the world what you do. It should be easy to memorize. It should be the litmus test for everything that you do. If what you do does not align with the mission, then don't do it. It's a litmus test. Now, the mission statement could include a sustainability mission. You may want to make it very clear to the world that the way you operate, the way you produce your goods, the way you do your services has a broader sustainability a goal. An example of that would be a business as a mission. You may be familiar with the BAM concept, where a business may exist not only to make a profit, but to do certain societal good. And you can make that very clear in the mission of the organization. The next most important aspect of a strategic plan is the organization's statement of principles. And the statement of principles is really just a statement of how you do what you do on a daily basis. It is the character of your organization, how you treat people, how you comply with regulations, things such as that. Well, that is a place where you could include the sustainability factors of how you will operate. So that is a good place to say how you will operate with respect to various footprints and all of the other bottom lines in addition to the economic bottom line. The next aspect of strategic planning is an annual SWOT analysis, and that stands for strengths and weaknesses, which are internal factors, opportunities and threats, which are external factors. And that's very important to look at that at least annually to determine what's going on. What do you face? What are the factors we're dealing with? And then you take the results from the SWOT analysis and look at your mission statement and your statement of principles, and then you're able to generate a list of annual performance objectives. And very often you'll have more objectives generated than you have resources in the organization. So to whittle that list down into a list that works with limited resources, you can utilize a matrix where each of these objectives are scored by various criteria. Perhaps they're scored against your statement of principles. They're scored by how they affect the net present value, the economic bottom line. And you can weight those scores to suit the desires of your organization. And then you simply pick the objectives that score the highest that can be accomplished within the available resources of the organization. So again, strategic planning is very essential to sustainability performance. Next, you must have some sort of a sustainability information management system in place that allows you to identify and manage what you need to do to perform sustainably. For example, the first three bullets here, you need to be able to identify the environmental compliance requirements. What's required by the various regulations and laws in the jurisdictions where you operate? What are the safety compliance requirements for your employees and the public? And what organizational performance principles and objectives do you have under your statement of principles, your mission statement? And all of these three areas can be collected and placed in a sustainability information management system, and then tracked. Your performance can be tracked with certain performance metrics. You can have performance metrics that you identify related to environmental, safety, social performance. And now in today's world, there are plenty of cloud-based systems that can help you track all of that and know your performance, know the trends, make sure nothing falls through the cracks with respect to environmental compliance responsibilities. And spreadsheets are really an old, antiquated, maybe duct tape and baling wire type of solution. I would encourage you to look at a cloud-based system to effectively manage your sustainability performance. Let's talk now about footprints. Footprints are really the manner that you should approach looking at your sustainability performance. The first one we'll look at is a water footprint. And traditionally, most companies traditionally only looked at the volume of water they withdrew from a stream or from a public water supply for their factory, for their operation. And that was the extent of their water utilization. But as water becomes more scarce around the world, water footprints really are much broader than that. And based on the work of a professor from the University of Twente in the Netherlands, Dr. Hoekstra, his research and work in the area of water footprints is really excellent. He argues that a water footprint consists of three components, with the green water footprint being the amount of rainwater, or I guess it could be snowfall, precipitation that an organization or a company uses, and the blue water footprint being the volume of surface water and groundwater that is consumed by the organization. And then the gray water footprint, which most companies may have never considered, is the amount of fresh water that's required to assimilate the pollutants you discharge into a water body so that the stream achieves the designated water quality standards of that stream. There may be a maximum amount of a given pollutant that can be in a stream, and so when you discharge whatever pollutant into that stream, even legally with a water discharge permit, how much water is required to assimilate that load of pollutant. So you have these three aspects of your water footprint, and you can quickly think or realize that around the world, certain areas, what your water use is going to be sustainable, but in other areas, water is going to be more scarce. The water is going to be more polluted with less assimilative capacity. And also with streams, there can be minimum stream flows required to meet biological ecosystem needs that need to be considered. So water is becoming more and more scarce. Companies are looking at their water footprints, and it's part of a serious risk of their operations. Next, let's look at energy footprints. Energy footprints are closely tied to carbon footprints, and energy footprints are going to look more at energy efficiency, energy conservation measures, and the way you would be able to do that is to begin with an energy audit to determine what energy you use, where you might be wasting energy, and then start looking at opportunities to lessen the amount of energy you use, maybe use renewable energies. There are some great opportunities currently to use on-site solar energy There are currently tax credits, tax incentives that can help make that very economical. And LED lighting. LED lighting to replace older fluorescent lighting will often pay for itself in a very, very quick amount of time. So with solar energy and LED lighting, you can certainly reduce your energy footprint and increase your green image all at the same time. Okay, next, let's look at a waste stream footprints. There is a movement in industry called the Zero Waste Business Movement. And the goals of the Zero Waste movement are to reduce and actually completely eliminate sending waste to landfills or to incineration. And the Zero Waste movement focuses on the processes of your factory, your organization, or facility to reduce the waste streams altogether, rather than just looking at the end of process waste and figuring out how do we recycle, reuse, manage these waste streams in a responsible way. Instead, it seeks to eliminate the waste streams altogether. And there are a lot of companies that have creatively eliminated their waste streams and reduced them significantly. And the great thing about the Zero Waste movement is it can very often save a company tremendous amounts of money. Waste streams are expensive. Not only is it expensive to get rid of the waste, but waste itself is expensive. You have lots of extra materials and products that you really didn't need to have to begin with. And a waste management system begins with a waste stream audit. So you need to do an audit to characterize and quantify your waste streams and know how much of each type of waste you generate each month. You need to know how much is recycled, how much is incinerated, and how much you're sending to landfills. Now, let's talk about social sustainability performance. Social sustainability considers how does a company treat its employees. For example, what are the safety statistics? What are the accident rates? What sort of employee training do you provide? What are your employee benefits? Social sustainability also includes how you relate to your investors, your customers, the nearby communities. You know, how do you deal with environmental justice issues? How transparent are you as a company to the public and stakeholders? What sort of charitable giving practices does the company have? ISO 26000 is an international standard that provides guidance and recommendations about how any organization can improve its social responsibility. ISO 26000 is not a standard that you can be certified against, but it is a very good standard to look at for reference to understand how you might be a more sustainable organization in the social sustainability performance area. Now, let's make some conclusions. In conclusion, business sustainability performance is strategically important for many reasons. Your investors, customers, public stakeholders are demanding it. Sustainability performance can provide you with win-win opportunities to lower operating cost. It is an excellent risk management strategy. It reduces your likelihood of being in non-compliance with regulations. It improves your green image. And lastly, by being more sustainable, it can result in societal good, which can be very rewarding. Thank you for allowing me to make this presentation, and now I'll see if there are any questions.